Okay, thank you very much for coming. This is the early session where where you and the audience get an opportunity to ask questions. And I will attempt to answer. If I can't answer, I will put it on an agenda for things to do for the future. So anyone have a question for us to get started with? Okay, did you have a question now?
I was ready to do highlights on Windows 11.
I'm not aware of what the highlights are on Windows 11. I don't personally have Windows 11. And I have not been keeping up with it. Who in the audience has Windows 11 and has been at least keeping up with what's going on in the world with Windows 11? If you're not aware, Windows 10 is, Windows 11 is the current version. Windows 10, which I still have, will be supported through security updates through October 2025. Now, that does not mean that in October 2025, you can no longer use that. It just means that you won't get new security updates for it. Everything that's working now will probably work exactly the same as before. There are many of our users that are still on Windows 7. We still have users that are on Windows XP. That's 20 years old. And it hasn't been supported for, how long has it been? Since XP has been supported, 10, 12 years at least. And Windows 7 came out, I believe, in 2007. Something around there. Maybe not that late. I think it was probably around 2007 that it came out. And it was just discontinued 2 years ago. The security support. It doesn't mean that it's insecure, it just means that it's not getting the same kind of updates that Windows 11 is getting. Now, also, in the last few months, we've been hearing about Windows 12 and even Windows 13. They're in the works. They're still on the the drawing board. We don't know when Windows 12 will come out, or even if it will be called Windows 12. We have no idea when Windows 13 or whatever it would be called will be coming out. But anyway, what you have right now, if you're still running Windows 10, please don't panic. You're going to be good for at least a couple of years, if not longer. Okay, anyone else have a question? Comment? Yes. All right, Raphael.
We could talk about the iCloud. The iCloud.
Tell you about the iCloud. Well, iCloud, Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, and others are ways of backing up or maybe duplicating what you have on your computer in another environment that is not local. It's stored on servers that are not local to you, meaning it's not in your house. It could be across town, it could be across the other side of the world. But it's in a location where it is backed up through the internet to another server, someplace else in the world. And there's probably some redundancy in that, where they have not just your information on one server, but it'll be on multiple so that they can reconstruct things if something goes down. It's called a cloud just because they needed a new term. It was going to be, it was something that was going to be transmitted through the internet, and they said, gee, it's going up into the cloud. So they called it the cloud. That's all it is. The iCloud is Apple's version of a backup system. iDrive is, excuse me. G Drive, Google Drive is Google's answer to that. OneDrive is Microsoft's answer to the cloud solution. I got an email today from Bob Hardiman who said, gee, I went in to look at my Google Drive today and it's telling me that I can't get in. I can't get into my photos. What happened? And then he got a letter from Google saying, if you don't access your information on Google Drive within a 2-year period, and I guess he hadn't been out to the drive for a while, then we're going to remove that. But if you're using any of those services like Gmail or anything else, that's actually going out and using their services too, and that is out into the cloud too. So if so I went out and looked at mine. Well, son of a gun, I looked at mine and I had just slipped over the 15 gigabyte limit that is free. So today I logged on and it said I was 15.05 gigabytes. And so I went into the folder, I couldn't get to anything, nothing. Everything looked like, and he was saying, well, how do I get to it? How do I edit? So then it says, well, you want to buy more storage. Well, the next level is 100 gigabytes. Now, I use my computer a lot and I have 2 terabytes of local storage on my computer. That doesn't mean that I don't want everything going out to the cloud. I kind of like that every time I take a photo on my phone, it goes out and saves it in Google Photos and on my G Drive, my Google Drive. But I don't want everything else going out there. I don't want all my documents. If I want to share a document, I can share that just temporarily or just load it out there for that particular time. So anyway, I saw it said 15.05. Well, 5 minutes later, it said 15.22. I said, wow, it's bumping up and I still don't have access. So I said, okay, let me look at the subscriptions and see what options there are. Well, for $1.99 a month, it will give me 100 gigabytes. And that should last me for another 10 years or so. Well, unless I take a lot of photos. But anyway, that should last me a while because I don't back up everything to the cloud. I would prefer to back it up to a physical drive that I have control of, that I can plug in as an external drive on my computer and save it directly to there. And then I can restore it from there if I want to at any time. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it gets to the question that you're just talking about. How do we do it to all those little drives?
Yeah, now you can take, okay, and you also have Amazon Prime that there's a service through them that also can back up your information. Now, be cautious of using that and thinking that just because it's going there that's saved and you can get it off of your device. Well, guess what? In most cases, if you delete it from that drive, it deletes it off the computer too. So you don't want that. You want to be very selective of how you control things. So I like it being a duplicate of something, but I don't want it to control that that I can no longer get to it. I don't want to delete something in the cloud and it come back. You know what everybody wants to sync everything. I don't sync. If you sync, that means that if you go out there and you delete it one place, it's going to delete it every place. So you don't want that. You want to control that. So if you have information you know you'll never want to go back to, fine, delete it. A lot of times when we have our phone, we're taking pictures, we'll take 10 or 15 of the same thing. And maybe 12 of them are really bad. Well, go ahead and delete those. If they're fuzzy, if they're not clear, whatever, if you can't edit them to be clear, because there's some wonderful tools on the computer that will brighten up a dark scene, will then sharpen the image. You can have all kinds of filters on them. But if you're doing that, I would save it as a copy. Don't override it until you figure out which one of those you really want to keep, and then get rid of those that you don't need. But don't put everything in the cloud and delete things from the cloud and think that you still have them on your computer, because that's not necessarily true. And I got rid of OneDrive shortly after buying my computer because it wanted to put everything out on the cloud. And then it said, I'm sorry, I can't put any more out here, so I'm going to delete all the other stuff that I can't now. I said, no, you're not. So I got rid of it. I turned it off, and the only thing I use OneDrive for is if I definitely want to share something with someone, or I need to have it available on another computer or to share to another person so that they can comment and send back without going through the email route. But I don't use the cloud services like a lot of people do. And I certainly don't turn sync on. Okay. The only thing I do sync, I guess, is I do sync my contacts from my phone to my Google account, so that gives me a backup location, but I don't edit anything from my contacts in the Google Drive. I do all my editing on the phone. And if you use that process, then you should be okay. Okay, anyone else have a question? And Louis, thank you very much for being our runner tonight. Louis is a relatively new member of the computer group, but he has participated in just about everything. He comes to all of our classes, and he's been real helpful in our meetings too. So thank you very much. Okay. Well, did you know that you can use Microsoft Office for free? And you don't have to download anything? If you use 4 keys, Control Shift, Windows key, and the Alt key, press those 4 keys together, and you will come up and it will say, let me go ahead and do that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, it says, welcome to Microsoft 365. And you can either sign in directly, or you can create a new account. So if I click on sign in, and I hope I don't have to. Okay, here's the one that I'm going to use, and I've already saved my credentials, so it should not ask me for a password. If it does, I'm not going to do it. So says use this account, and why is it not continuing? Why is it not continuing? There you go. So now I'm into Microsoft 365, and I can do anything that I want to without having to subscribe to Microsoft Office 365. So I'm not paying for this. So just a hint that this is something that is pretty new. They have offered this in the past with other options, with Microsoft Mobile and Microsoft, what was the other one called? Microsoft.com. No, it was, what was it called? No, it wasn't Express. Well, this is a whole lot more powerful than Works. Works is more of a note taker. Microsoft Office is a fully fledged word processing system. So we can create, we can collaborate with others, and you can see that this is free. And you can upgrade and you can pay. And I have Microsoft Office 2021 on my computer. I do not have a subscription to 365. And the reason why I chose to do that is that this means that it's resident on my computer. I do not get the updates from Microsoft, but I do get full capability of everything that was available with the 2021 edition. And that it was a lot less expensive than buying a subscription for $99 a year. I didn't want to do that, or even $69 a year. So that's what I chose to do. Plus, do any of you have an older version of Microsoft Office that you had on a previous computer? I used to use when Microsoft Office 2007. And what I did when I installed that was I took all the installation programs and copied them onto my computer in a folder under a file, under a folder that I call, let's go back to, I have to put my glasses on so I can actually see something. Okay, if I go down here to, I can almost see the screen. To software downloads, whoops, that's not it. Software downloads. And if I go down here, I can see my Microsoft Office accounts. And you can see that I have 2007, 2013, 2019, and 2021. And behind it, I put the product key, so I'll always be able to install this. So as long as I have this available, if I wanted to, I could go in here and click on setup, and it would go out and reset up all of those files, and I would be back into Microsoft Office 2007. And the only problem I would have is if I have another version of Microsoft Office on here that would conflict with it. So I would have to choose between which version I would want. But anytime you're downloading new software, I recommend that you set up a folder for all those installation files to go into, so that you ever have a problem and want to reconstruct that software, you have it on your computer. All you have to do is click on the setup and you're off and running. Has anyone else had a problem in trying to move from one computer to another one? You say, oh, I had this program on my old computer, I really loved it, and I don't have it now because I don't have the installation disk or the whatever. This is the way I prevent that from happening. Okay. Anyone else have a question? We can't end already. Okay. Not into. Make sure it's on.
I guess I'll give it to me. I didn't know. I thought there was somebody else back there. I know so little about this. One of the things, I had an old computer, it's probably 10 years old or something like that. And I don't know if it was after the hurricane or something. Whenever I go to anything now, a window pops up there and it says, enter Windows security. I have no idea what that is.
It sounds like it's asking you to do a security update, which would be to go into your settings. Go, let me get out of this.
Because I just, when it comes up, I just check out of it and it lets me go on with it. I just don't understand why it started popping up.
Well, it might be a pop-up that is from a third party that's trying to get you to buy something.
Yeah, I've been hacked a lot of stuff and I thought I think someone get rid of it.
A lot of those things are happening. What I would recommend that you do first is that if you have something that's popping up and it wasn't doing that before, I would run the maintenance programs that we recommend for everybody, which would be Super Anti-Spyware. I'd run that one first, then I would run Malwarebytes, and then I would run a Wise Disk Cleaner. Now, when you're running Super Anti-Spyware, on some computers, it will automatically check the signatures to make sure that they are the latest. That you have the latest ones installed, but in some cases, and most cases, it does not. And so if that happens, let me just open this up. I'm not going to actually run it, but I'm going to open this up and show you what I'm talking about. Okay. In that case, I would come down here and I would say check for updates. And that's what I do all the time. I do this first. I do a check for updates. And then it comes down and it starts downloading that. Now, I don't need to do that. I'm not gonna, well. Let's go back. Go ahead. Okay. See, I ran this. Yeah. Oh, gee, I haven't run it for 61 days, so it would be a good idea for me to do this, right? So you click here to check your updates. And it's going to go out there and it's going to download them, and then it will install them, and then it'll ask you to go to the next step. We're not going to go to that next step because then this would disconnect from everything and I wouldn't be able to, well, we wouldn't have a very good evening tonight. We would be disconnected from our, we wouldn't be disconnected from our Zoom meeting, but they might not appreciate my rebuild or restart here.
Two of the programs like Super Anti-Spyware or Malwarebytes are typically the ones we use as a club. And they are free, however, they will pop up a lot of messages like that. And what it is they want you to, like a little notice under there, it says click on here to upgrade to the pro version. Just don't do it. Just stay with the free version. So anytime it says upgrade, just try to stay away from that.
Okay.
You should never have to buy it. And by the way, Malwarebytes, if it's installed for the first time, it's going to put the pro version on there for 14 days. And then it's going to ask you to buy it. And then you just say no, no, no. And then I'll say, okay, we're going to give you the free version. Okay, so it still works because I actually do have on my computer, I have the Wise Disk Cleaner and Malware, and I think Super Anti-Free edition because Nick Evans, who was the president here several years ago, he was a friend of somebody that I knew, and he came up to my house and he set those up there, but of course he's been on quite a while, so I have to do a check and see about that. So yeah, and I get a lot of those upgrade things that you say, just go ahead and just keep doing the free one. Okay, great, thank you.
You can also go into the settings and you can tell her to not ask you again for that, but I haven't done that. So we're gonna get out of this. We're just gonna get exit out. Now, if I ran Malwarebytes, it will automatically check for updates. So you don't have to go through that extra step. And on some computers, you don't have to do it on Super Anna spyware, and I don't know why. It happens on some and not on others, I haven't been able to figure that out. But and then the other program that we use is Wise Disk Cleaner. And this is one that will get rid of some of the traces that are left behind by the other two tools. Now, each one of these does things a little bit differently, and they'll find different things. I found that I run them in this particular sequence because I found when I did Malwarebytes first, that it was taking longer to run. But if I run it second, it goes very quickly. I can typically get through Malwarebytes in a minute or even less. But when I was running it first, it would take 10 or 12 minutes, and it still wasn't, you know, it might find something and it might not. But if I ran Super Anna spyware first, Malwarebytes runs very, very quickly. And Wise Disk Cleaner always runs very quickly. It's usually less than a minute. Okay. Another thing that we've been on our website, we show different applications that we, yes, sir.
Question I have, I ran,
Wait a minute, Louis is gonna bring the microphone to you. The reason we want you to speak into the microphone is we're also doing this on Zoom, and the Zoom meeting will not pick up your voice from the auditorium without coming to the speaker.
Okay, the question I had, or the comment I had was I ran Super Spyware and it ran and this is to get rid of what you had. But then I ran the complete version first, but then I ran a fast version and I ended up with more of them.
Well, what happens when you run the quick version is that it's looking at things that have happened since that complete version. So it's not looking at everything, but every time you open your computer and you open a browser, you're going to be leaving little trails, those cookies that help you in some ways and hurt you in others. Cookies are very important and very useful when they help you negotiate different sites to find things you're interested in because you've gone there before or you've saved your passwords. That's a form of a cookie, is saving that password. Could you move that away from me? I think it's interfering somehow, or maybe this one is. Anyway, we have feedback from someplace. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Where was I? If you have cookies, if you're saving your passwords for different things, then that will be something that you want to save, right? But if you have, if you're going to a site and you happen to see an ad, you click on something and it's advertising one product, well, 10 other similar products are going to start bouncing and trying to get you to buy their version. And if you do any research on one topic, it's going to find 20 other sites that have some kind of relationship to it, and it will use those little crumbs, those little cookies there to find it. And that's why when you run the quick version, you're showing as many or more than you did when you did the whole, the complete version. And it'll vary from day to day. I ran one day that it showed that I only had 5 cookies. I said, wow, haven't I done anything? The next day I had 600 or something. And it just depends on what you're looking for and how you're looking. My husband tends to click on anything that has a recipe. And when he clicks on those, that opens up the whole world, and it actually opens up some very, very dangerous sites. So most of those are through Facebook. All these people are saying, try this recipe, try this recipe, try this recipe. He says, boy, that looks really good. I think I'll take a look at it. And he opens it up, and all of a sudden he has this big screen that said, aha, I got you. don't turn off your computer because I won't let you. So then he says, Mary, come in here, fix my computer. It just did it to me again. And it wasn't because he intentionally, well, maybe he did. It wasn't because he intentionally went to a site that was dangerous. He got there through what he thought was an innocent click for a recipe. Or many people do online games. Boy, those games are just, they're chock full of ways to grab you. If you click on a game, you'll have 10 other games that they want you to play. And each one of those will send their information out to all these other places. If you buy something on Amazon, you can just bet that you're going to have 10 other ads for something similar or that's even remotely in the same category. So, and all those are from cookies, little crumbs that you leave behind places.
Well, the point I was trying to make is if you run the super spyware in the long version, it doesn't hurt to run a quick one after that.
Mhm.
And
That's true.
And it's so short.
That's right.
So that you're not losing any amount of time that you would.
Right. And I used to run the complete version every single time, and then I thought, well, I really didn't need to do that. And so now I will run the complete version occasionally. And then most of the time, I will just run the quick version. But you don't need to run the complete version every single time. Because it's going to go out and it's going to say, well, I've already checked this and it hasn't been opened again. So I'm not going to check that again. So it'll bypass a lot of things and it will run a lot quicker. So anytime you're running those programs, you say, well, I really don't have time to, let this run for 20 minutes or an hour or two. I want this, I want all my answers in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Run the quick versions, and the Super NS Spyware is the only one that really has the 2 different levels. Now, another thing about the Malwarebytes and the upgraded subscription that you pay for, and the pro version that Mark was saying that they install first, and they keep telling you, click on this, and make sure you register it and all that. You don't need to do that, but what that does is it gives you true real-time checking on all of your information. It doesn't do it just when you ask it to. It does it all the time. Now that can slow your computer down, but it might protect you more. So it's a trade-off. Do you want to have it check every time you make a click, or do you want it only to check occasionally? And most of the time, if it is a suspicious site, then you're going to have other tools by either Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Microsoft Edge that are also going to be checking so that you don't go to malicious sites. Okay. Anyone else have a question, or do you have any more? Okay. Anyone else have a question? Yes, Vanessa. Wait for the microphone. Here. Well, I must be the only one that's not cold. I apologize. I don't have any control. Bring a sweater next time. Blanket. Okay. Okay, bye-bye.
My question is for,
Yes.
my question is for Windows 10. Actually, I'm making a story using Microsoft Word 2010 version or 2012. And do I have to use can I just use Microsoft Word to make a cover for my book, or just? I mean, I'm not making a book cover for myself. I mean, the company that I'm going to talk to do it.
Yeah,
But if I wanted to make like a specific image for it, how would I go about doing that?
I made an album a few years ago for someone who was having a 90th birthday. And I made the cover, everything inside, everything was made with Microsoft Word. I love Microsoft Word, I use it constantly, and I do an awful lot of special formatting and so forth with Microsoft Word. Let me see if I can even find that. And I was just putting together pages, so I had to, format and get the, do the printing and everything myself. This was not something for, professionally done or anything, but I did want to, give her a picture album. And let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. Let's go up. And right here. Where was that? Somewhere that said cover. Where is it? I've lost it.
I saw it
Where?
down
Down? There's input,
there. That is birthday album cover, the very bottom one.
very bottom. Oh, there you go. So here's the album cover that I used. So I put her photo in here and use that as the album cover. But let's go up here and see what I have in here. And I'm not sure what I have in the, okay, these are just raw photos that I was using to put the album together. So let me find,
Did you have 90 balloons?
huh?
Did you have 90 balloons?
No, I did not have 90 balloons, but here are the pictures. Well, these are pictures that were at the event that we had. And the lady that just left, she's right here in this picture,
Yeah.
right here.
Yes.
Let me find the whole book and, well, here's the album cover too. Oops. Oops, what did I do? Okay, let's see what this looks like. And so these are just some of the photos that I had during that time. And then I included these later in the booklet. But you can see we had quite a nice attendance. And then these were all the signatures that we had in the book. And so I added those to the final booklet that I gave to her. Well, I don't seem to have, I can't find the whole booklet, but yes, I did this entire thing in Microsoft Word. And I'll show you something else that I do a lot. I'll just pull up. when I put together a booklet. Yeah, do this one handed. What I do is I create a booklet and I have all kinds of different formatting here. And then for the booklet itself, I'm just using a simple table. Put someone's photo here and then their contact information and so forth in the next column. And then at the end, I have all kinds of other things that we've partnered with the museum on some things. We've partnered with other organizations for different events. And so I include those and then all of our contact information. And all of that is done with Word. I don't use Publisher. I don't use any special software. Microsoft Word is a wonderful tool for writing your story. And you can do tables of contents. You can have each section can be formatted differently. You can format different styles for headers and for content. You can now one thing that I do as opposed to putting an image on a page and trying to wrap text around it, I find it much easier to set up wherever I want that photo to be in a table. So I move the photo into the position I want, and then I can wrap the text around it by in other columns. And it makes it so much easier to read and to control, because then I can control the pagination of the book also. So, and if you want to sit down and go through some of those things when I'm in the office, please bring your things in and we can talk about it. Okay, very good. And I've seen some of the work that you've done and I like what you're doing. It's very good. She's writing her life story. Now, how are you?
No, really, it's a fantasy book that I'm making.
Oh, that's right.
I started. I might do a life story at some point, but I'm not sure when.
Yeah, this is, she's right, this is not a life story, this is a fantasy, well, it's like Lord of the Rings type of thing. She's making up her own fantasy story and putting it into a book, and that's great. And you will really enjoy the presentation we have tonight, because it talks about making your own book, whether it's a life story or any kind of content that you want to publish, and whether it's just published to some family member or a friend, or it's published out to through formal publishing house or whatever. It'll show you how. She'll talk about how to do that, and she also offers some of her services for free. She said for those people who are just getting started with this, she'll do some things for free. And she'll get you on your way, and then, of course, if you needed more help, I'm sure she'll be charged for that. But it's a very interesting session that I saw a few weeks ago, and I thought it would be interesting for this group. Okay, anyone else have a question? Oh, absolutely, Louis.
I just got one thing I'll share with you.
Sure.
You mentioned the pop-ups that come up in Facebook and stuff that scare the dookies out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when those do pop up, if you don't do what they ask you to do, they don't have you. Reach over, shut your computer off, let it set for 30 seconds or so, get the memory clear, boot it back up, don't let Explorer open the page again. And run your stay through your cookies, and it's gone.
I'll tell you what I do with my husband's computer every time it happens. And it's filling the whole screen, so you can't really get down to the taskbar to bring up the task panel. So here's what I do. I hit now used to be 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Microsoft in its wisdom had what I thought was one of the worst set of shortcut keys to have someone get to something useful. They had Control Alt Delete to open your task manager. I hated that shortcut, and just a couple of years ago, they decided, yeah, that was a dumb idea. And so now they have Control Shift Escape. So if you whenever that happens to you, go to Control Shift Escape. It'll bring up your task manager, find whatever it is that is causing the problem, click on that. And then go down and say End Task. As soon as you do that, get everything out of there. Delete everything, go and run your maintenance programs, reboot your system, go back in. But that's the first thing I do, is just get the task manager up and delete that, and then restart the computer. Yes.
Yeah, but what you're seeing is not a task. It's a web page.
Oh, it's a web.
And what they want you to do is call that number. Then they're gonna invite themselves into your computer, which you would probably allow them to do. Once they've got in there, you had it.
Okay,
But up to that point, you just shut it off. Now, the
okay,
only
it is a task, okay, if I don't have my browser up right now. But I had my browser, that would be a web page on that browser. So I would just close the whole browser down.
That's fine.
So that's what I'm saying, I would grab that, I would close that down, close everything else up, run your, yes, and power down your computer, run all of your, maintenance programs, and then reboot again. And when you bring that browser back up, if that pops up again, immediately close that particular, web page. Or in some cases, you might want to just start fresh and never let it bring up the history pages. But I don't like bringing up my history pages because I open an awful lot. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to?
No.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Yes, right.
We have a preference between Norton and McAfee.
Okay, I personally don't use Norton or McAfee, I use Windows Defender. Windows Defender comes standard in the Windows operating system. It's an excellent antivirus program, and it will catch an awful lot of things. It will tell you when you have when something is trying to get your information. And so I don't subscribe to any of the paid antivirus programs. I have had some on in the past. I've also used some of the free ones. I had a situation years ago, I used to use Avast, which was a free antivirus program. And I started getting these pop-ups, and it said, we need to update, you haven't run the update, so you need to do the update. Well, what it was one of those spoofs. It was clickbait. And I was in the middle of typing something else. And as I was typing something else, that pop-up came up, and it grabbed one of my keystrokes, and it automatically pulled up, said, don't turn off your computer, I've got control, and I'm going to ruin your life, basically, is what it's saying. And I immediately got out of it. But I also found the name of the organization that was doing it. It said it came from this one message said it came from Microsoft. And so I said, that doesn't sound right. So I looked at it, and I found out that the number that they were using, it said they were from Microsoft. I said, no, that doesn't sound right. So anyway, called, and he says, well, I'm a Microsoft, let's see, I'm a Microsoft expert, or I can't remember the exact term he used. It was but he used the word expert, and I said, are you from Microsoft? He said, I'm the Microsoft expert. I said, that's not the question I asked. Are you from Microsoft? And he said, no, I'm from something, click. You don't want to answer any of those questions. You don't want to actually give them any controls at all. So, keep away from those. But my situation with McAfee was that as I was typing in a different document, it popped up and grabbed one of my keystrokes. It was probably like the enter key or something that I was entering for a document as opposed to that pop-up, but it grabbed it and tried to take control of my machine. So, and you talked about Super NS spyware trying to, and running it and trying to keep up. Well, I kept trying to keep up, and I had to actually shut everything down and do a fresh install of some things. So I don't do any of those free versions, and I don't use any of the paid subscriptions either. Microsoft Defender is a much more reliable source, I find, and it doesn't try to do a lot of nuisance things to cause you to buy something new. McAfee and Norton, they're always wanting to get you to buy something new. And so, did you have a question, comment?
Just say,
Oh, just looking at the time. Yes, we're just about out of time for our own session, so. Anyone else have another question before we have a little break here before the main event? Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll see you back here in about 8 minutes. Okay, thank you.